f of x equals h of x, which means that x plus 1 over x squared minus 9 is equal to x over x minus 3. Okay, I'm going to factor the bottom of the first one, the denominator of the first. X squared minus 9 is difference of squares, which means that it factors to be x plus 3, x minus 3. The right side is going to stay the same. Alright, let's multiply both sides by the common denominator of x plus 3, x minus 3. Times x plus 3, x minus 3. And that equals x over x minus 3 times x plus 3, x minus 3. Alright, so x plus 3's will cancel on the left, x minus 3's will cancel on the left. I'm left with simply x plus 1 on the left. On the right side, x minus 3 cancels with x minus 3 to leave me with this x times x plus 3. I will go ahead and distribute x times x to get x squared, and x times 3 to get 3x. Okay, so now this is definitely a quadratic equation, which means I need to get everything onto one side by itself, so that way I have a quadratic equals 0. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I will also subtract 1 from both sides. Cancels, cancels. The left side equals 0 now. The right side's x squared plus 2x minus 1. Alright, so this is not going to be factorable, so I'm going to have to do something else. I'm going to resort to the quadratic formula. Okay, so to remind you how the quadratic formula looks, x equals negative b plus minus the square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so now this looks uglier than it actually is. We have to identify a, b, and c first of all. Of course, a is that understood 1 in the front of x squared. B is the number in front of x, so it's 2. And c is negative 1. So now it's just a matter of plugging all those numbers in. Alright, so x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2 times a. Alright, and let me go and fill in those numbers. So a is 1, it goes here and here. B is 2, it goes here and here. And c is negative 1 going right there. Negative 2 plus minus, accounting for two different answers. 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 1 is going to be a positive 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so let's see, this now will simplify even further. Negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 8 over 2. I should try to simplify the radical, that's square root of 8, because after all, the square root of 8, do a different color for that, the square root of 8 is actually the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. And I know the square root of 4 is 2, so that's 2 the square root of 2. A lot of 2's going on here. So x equals negative 2 plus or minus 2 the square root of 2, because that's where square root of 8 was, all over 2. And if you're noticing how all these 2's are lining up, that would reduce and that would reduce. So since they both reduce, I have negative 1 plus or minus these 2 reduce to leave me with the square root of 2. So that's two answers, negative 1 plus the square root of 2 and negative 1 minus the square root of 2.